podcast.
So welcome to season 2 of the FRM podcast. Well, let me say a reconvention of season 2 of the FRM podcast. I'm not going to actually get into it or spend too much time getting into it. I think I'll just start by introducing my guest. So as you know, on the podcast, I'm a big fan of people who are doing very creative, innovative, new organizations as well in Johannesburg. Well, not in South Africa really, but like people who are kind of like taking the needle forward in terms of like innovation. And I think our next guest is a prime example of that. A guest I kind of also view similarly in the lens of FRM, purely because I feel as if like they are pushing boundaries within the literary space. But I think I will allow them to introduce themselves. So Noku, do you want to maybe just tell the FRM audience who you are, what you do, and maybe where you're based?
Hello, I'm Noku Sibanda. Noku is fine. You can call me casually. I'm the founding editor-in-chief of Moyé Magazine, amongst other things, and I'm based in Joburg. Yeah.
Fantastic. And I think, okay, this is recording. Fantastic. Where I kind of really want to start with it, because you mentioned something very interesting, founder and editor-in-chief. Those terms carry, I think, a lot of weight, specifically within the space which you work in. But I kind of maybe want to delve into like what the space is for maybe people who don't actually understand maybe like what an editor-in-chief maybe might do per se. So would you mind maybe explaining magazines? Zine specifically, that space. First of all, maybe what is it? And second of all, like where did your relationship kind of like maybe begin within that form of like literature?
Yeah. So a zine or a magazine is basically a collection. Oof. The thing is, these things are so everywhere, but it's basically a collection of art, media, writing, literature, usually within the same topic. A zine is more artistic, I would say. It's usually pertaining to the person's interest. Sometimes there's fanzines, like there's people who are into Marvel who only make Marvel zines, etc. And the way I got into magazines and zines, I think the interest started way in primary school. I was in like grade 3, so I must have been like 9 or something.
Sure.
And we had those free-for-alls. Remember those free-for-alls you'd get at the end of the term?
Yeah.
Loved those. I would devour them. And I was also part of the like the school newspaper, like the Grapevine. But
of course you were.
Yeah, basically what an editor does is they can bring people together into the same issue.
Sure.
They then check over work. They then make sure that work is like fits well together, things like that, that people are doing their jobs.
Yeah.
Like the design is designing something, speaks to the text, things like that.
Kind of like an overseer, you know? It's kind of I liken it to like a prison warden to a certain extent, you know? You just walk around, just make sure you're on track. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, you're on track. Exactly.
Okay, the words, you know what I'm saying? Can you maybe make it sound a bit different? You know, it's kind of like it's a bit interesting. And people don't actually think about that element of it.
And I think that's what also like while we can debate about it, like it's a lot of debate. A good editor can remain unseen. Like you don't hear their voice and then they change. Like, I don't know if you noticed when Andre Leon Talley left Vogue, it showed.
Oh my
like
God.
You opened it and you're like, yeah.
Right. This is the Bible, okay? The Bible.
The Bible, exactly.
And I won't lie to you, the amount of notes, dude. Like there's like, you can see like literal like notes and like whatnot. Like that's for me like the GOAT.
That's the Bible, because there's a lot you need to think about that like it also goes undetected and
a lot.
Yeah.
I love what you said over there, and I think I won't lie to you, like I'm mentally ill, bro. Like I'm all over the place at times, but like I like focusing where the meat is. You mentioned something very nice there. Like you said, a good editor, you know, and you were kind of like, we can debate it. I love that. So let's go back to that. Like, what do you feel makes a good editor? Like, having explained like the bits of it we have to the audience right now, and like, because I mean it's a bit open ended to a certain extent, because it's like you can, it's for me, like, let's say, because take a writer for example, right? It's very, very easy, or it's pretty linear to a certain extent, to be able to establish whether, okay, cool, like it's good or it's not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, as much as there's different barometers, sure, but like there's somewhat of a standard where you can say, okay, cool, like this is of a standard to be published, or this is. Now, an editor now. How is an editor benchmarked? You know, and I feel as if it ties back to that question of like what makes, according to you, a good editor relative to like what makes a shit editor. You know, because they can both exist.
I have a diagram for this. Crap, where is it? It's right.
I love that.
So I think there's lots of things, just like how for a writer and an artist, different things make it. So obviously the cause of what makes a good artist. So passion, like you said, like wanting to get to the meat, being real, being like authentic and honest. I also think there's like this diagram of trust that an editor needs to understand. And like I drew a diagram of it for a project, but you need to understand your staff, the submissions, and the audience, and you need to coordinate them well. Like, I don't know if you can see it here. I can also send a picture.
I can actually see it. 1,000%. Staff.
Yeah, like you need to mediate everything so that it speaks to like the level of trust that you have with each relationship. So you and the staff need to have a relationship. Then you also need to facilitate the relationship with the staff. And then you need to have the audience trust you in a way, but also they can't know that you're there. So the audience needs to trust the artist, that the artist will deliver what they want well. And then you need to have the artists and the staff feel safe enough to put their work out there, so that the audience, like there's a lot of trust involved and holding people involved. And I think that's what makes a good editor. Also being honest to the work, because sometimes you need to see stuff that the artists don't see and tell them, listen, we're gonna need to cut this. I know this is precious. I know this is your flesh and bone. But there's a standard to maintain. And then sometimes you need to raise artists up and kind of guide them and be like, listen, I know I see what you don't see.
I think that one being to what you said right now about the mediation. I really, really enjoy the part also about kind of like not being seen. Very, very important parts of like, so let me just open this up again. So I can't multitask.
I get that. Wait, look, also let me message.
Which is ironic because this job is basically like multitasking on steroids.
It is. You know what happened? This one time I was it was like, you know, sometimes these like magazines have like what's it called? Like a panel of people. I went to one where Justin from Paper Magazine was kind of giving advice, and it was like late. Yes.
Do you like him?
Yes. He gave good advice. He gave a good advice.
We'll discuss it when
Protect me the edit. Protect me the edit.
No, we'll discuss it when we're not recording.
Yes, but it was like late.
I won't lie to you. Like, I can be guilty of shit talking to a certain extent, but like I don't shit talk, but like I can say that like, okay, cool. I don't like what they said, but I'll say in a cool way, but I'll say, okay, cool. Like, I don't do it like that. And I won't lie to you, I don't like most of them. So I was probably going to, but that's just my take. But
and also, you cannot like the person and love the work. You can be like, I hope I never meet them. But
the people who make the best work for me are people that I probably don't like.
Listen,
pretty ironic.
RuPaul said something that like snapped me back. So sometimes as an editor, you need to get over yourself. And I was so in I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if I can do this. No. And then I read this RuPaul quote that was like, some of y'all are too no, it's hard to remain patient with people who are so hell-bent on their own crucifixion. Get down the cross, Lady Kins. We need the wood and you. And then I was like, okay.
I actually like
Yeah.
RuPaul. Like I literally like never watched RuPaul. It's only been referenced to me by really, really cool people. But
Yes.
from just even from that, I fully agree. I just think we think about ourselves a lot, way too much, dude. You know, and it's crazy. I don't even mean it in in the most overt sense. I kind of like mean it with specific reference to this. You know, like something like a magazine. You know, it's not about us. Like so, I like when you said like the editor not being seen. I think it's very important. Like you know, like why would you want to be seen? You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah.
I that's why I think my favorite fashion designers are designers who hate being seen. You know what I'm saying? Like Margiela, like Martin Margiela for me like was insane because like there's no photos of the dude. You go look on the internet, they don't even know what the fuck he looked like. But
Yeah.
for me, that was like crazy because you could just tell from the stitch at the back, like when it's across, it's him, you know. And I always say I want FRM to be like that. I want people to be able to recognize it. I joke when I even say Gossip Girl, but
yes. Oh my God, Gossip Girl. Yeah.
what I'm saying though, right? Like I think it's crazy because Joshua to make Gossip Girl in the OC for me. That's I think he's probably one of the most important people in my life, which is weird to even think. I don't even know the guy, but like the fact that he made those two things, I think for me like changed everything. But what I learned from that and stuff like that, I was like, okay, cool, dude. You've just got to like do things differently, your own way. So even when you mention like things and you show me the diagram and stuff, I was like, I fuck with it, you know, because you've clearly like developed like your own blueprint for existing, like your own. You've decided, okay, cool, this is what I believe media to be, publications to be, how we're gonna do things, and I'm just gonna fucking go with it, you know. And not a lot of people in this day and age are even deciding on things.
Yeah. To be quite honest,
Yeah,
I make it up as I go. I'm not gonna lie.
you have to.
It's not make it up as I go, but like
Yeah,
it's not premeditated. I know it when I see it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly speaking, I feel as if like what you're saying then with FRM, I'm making it up as I go. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
but I feel as if like that's why people like it. I can't even fuck about that. That's why people like it. You know. I was gonna actually ask. I think it was the second book. What were you inspired by? Like actually, like in your early development. Um, I think specifically
So
like wide ended, so artistic, life, love, travel, anything.
love.
Yeah.
So in my teen years, Tumblr was big. I feel like even if I wasn't thinking about it, Tumblr showed up. Um, I've been,
Massive.
yeah, and I consume a lot of punk media. I'm not punk, but I've been told, like, listen, the way you're thinking is punk and like
Yeah.
fluxist.
Uh,
TV, like the way I watch TV shows is insane.
yeah. What do you
Like a
want?
lot of like TV shows.
Yeah.
Also when I started, like the idea from Moyé started from the Young Writers Initiative. So basically they would have a panel of magazines at the end of like the write-a-thon. And
Sure.
then these different magazines is where you could submit your writing. And
Uh-huh.
like I was like, wait, why couldn't I do that? So a lot of the magazines that were on that panel I inspired me, like Ogma magazines, Paper
Sure.
Crane. A lot of them shut down, which is sad. Like the zine world goes quick. Like people produce and then they're like,
Yeah.
well, I'm done.
It's
But
insane that
yeah,
you because I remember you mentioned all them. Like, I've heard none of them. I didn't even realize they existed. But like, I'm not
yeah,
from people, so it's like it's fair, you know. So it's like
yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's like turnover rate is like you know what I'm saying.
It's quick.
And
Yeah.
things go fast, and people forget very quickly. Like it's kind of like sad
Yeah.
in this economy. Like you know, people have really really short attention spans, so
Yeah.
so it's understandable. Um, but you mentioned, so I mean, like music. Then I'm pretty sure plays a big role.
Yeah. Huge. Especially artists who are like on the fringe of things. Like I love Santi Gold and the way she thinks, because she's very avant-garde and she's very upfront about the way she's been ostracized and how that pushes her.
Sure.
And I feel like you also feel this, where when you stop making art and then artists are like, we're all the same, and then you think, oh, I'm the same as you, and then you quickly find out, no, you're not.
We're not.
No, you're not. You are like singular. That's the word. Artists who are singular and who know how to embrace it. Yeah,
I like that, because I think that then we're very, because you're right, I do resonate with that, and we're very similar within that. And fucking love Santiago, by the way. Like, I think especially that first project, I think it was the 2008 one, right?
The one where she's puking gold glitter.
Yeah, she's fucking puking glitter, and that was fucking dope as hell. Yeah. And I know that it's ironic because I'm a big Santi fan in general, like Cool Santino, you know? And it's so funny because Nigerian alt music, like, I've always like had somewhat of, I've resonated with it. So like him, and he's big, he's one of the big reasons as to why he even called himself Santi was because of her, you know? Like,
that's okay. Now you're giving me recommendations.
No, it's crazy, dude. They're actually working together, they're making music together, because the universe is actually so funny, hey, because who would have thought a Nigerian artist with this pop out sound called Santi, you know what I'm saying? And you end up like working with your idol in that way. And she reached out to him even, you know? And in my mind, I was like, dude, you must be so sick for you to literally for Santi Go to literally like fucking reach out to you, dude. Like
to like call you up. Yeah.
She doesn't seem like she fucks with no one. You know? Like,
and also the way she thinks is like, she always is in conversation with people no matter where they're from. Like her podcast, she'll call up someone with like 2 followers and she's like, I love the way they think. And I think that's also important as an editor, to like outsource
1,000%
different people and not to hold yourself.
Yeah, 1,000%. I fully agree. So I was actually just reading these questions, but you actually mentioned something very important there. And doing a print project within an age where everybody's just mentally in a digital whatnot, it kind of feels like I'm watching that anime Serial Experiments Lane, and everybody is literally like plugging themselves into the computers, like literally connecting into the, you know what I'm saying?
Into their vein, like,
for real. Like, no hate though, because I'm looking like that as well.
Yeah.
But now, like, what are the challenges, of what do you feel as if like the motivations become then to do something in print, physical form, whilst there's this digital ecosystem and all these challenges and all these whatnots? Like, what does the motivation become? Like, why should somebody prioritize, you know, the physical?
Yes. You know? For the physical, I think it started out as experimentation, and also like the love of the craft. Sure. Like also like the sensation, like you can hold it, you can flip it, like, and it's yours. There's something about like owning an object that's like, this is mine, like this is amazing. Also like the experimentation, you get to like do weird shit with it. And now it's become a case of social media is only phone deep. So we recently had like an art show, and it really showed me the difference between having something digital and having like the physical, because on Instagram, you'll post something, you'll be like, this is a social cause. You'll be like, this is our next zine. People will like it, they'll love it, they'll reshare it, maybe. But then the people who actually engage with it are like 2.
Yeah.
But then for that art show, so I let like the entire social media stuff go, because I felt like Moyé wasn't experimenting like artists. Like we weren't thinking like people who are innovating.
Yeah.
So what we did is we made like physical posters, and we handed them out like around the space. We relied on word of mouth. We went into like shops, and we're like, can we put this up? We stapled them around like campus, and people showed up, and they were more willing to engage than our other events where we just put it on social media. And also, like, it was the time where people bought the most magazines, and they were like, yeah, there's something about physicality and having all the senses engaged where people
1,000%.
engage with the work.
1,000%.
Yeah.
And I literally fucking love that. Everything you said over there, I 1,000% agree and resonate with. And it's so funny because doing FRM, and I think being the age I'm at right now, and it being a different time to a certain extent, not too much, but to a certain extent, it being somewhat of a different time to when I started out just fucking with magazines and like whatnots. I've realized that like it's not better. Like the innovations and
it's different.
It's exactly, you know what I'm saying? Like it's genuinely not. So it's important to understand that and kind of like and kind of like, I don't know, like operate within that knowledge and whatnot. I like, for example, like I'm not on TikTok. I'll never be on TikTok. FRM will never be on TikTok. You know what I'm saying? And that's not for me to say, hey, listen, I'm trying to be grumpy old. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Or like cool and grungy, no.
Exactly, you know what I'm saying? I'm not, but I'm just essentially saying I'm like the certain things which were never part of the DNA. It works directly.
And it rejects it. Let me tell you, Moyé rejected social media over. I tried to force it. It does not want. You are right in that, like 100. It does not want.
It doesn't, dude. Like, and like again, so it's telling me 10 minutes, but don't worry, I'll think it. But like, I want to actually even hear like more on what you just mentioned over there, like what you said right now, because I agree with you. You know, like, and certain things. Like for me, Instagram for me is fluid. It's fluid because like, it's
and it's built like a zine.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when I'm doing Instagram, it doesn't feel like I'm doing this annoying social media fucking like whatnot, even though most of social media is that. But when I'm doing it for FRM, it kind of feels as if like it's like a publication for real. And it's just doing it on this Zuckerberg owned annoying ass platform. You get what I'm saying?
I get what she's saying.
But for me, when I saw TikTok with the first hour, I was like, what the hell is this? You know, so high effort and so short attention span and low time. I'm like, this for me is just, it gives me like anxiety even just looking at the interface, you know? Yeah. But again, with that's why in my mind I was like, sorry guys, like I know the majority of you guys are on TikTok, but fucking TikTok, you don't find me there. It's okay, you know, I'm happy.
You can be there, and
So when you mention the posters, when you mention like you guys, you made that decision and that's how it went about. Like that's inspiring, dude. You know what I'm saying? And I encourage like more people even to just like do less things which they're not inspired by and do more things that they are, even if people hate it. Like they hate it, like so what, dude? Like what they gonna do? I follow.
Anyway. And also then you won't find your audience if you're doing shit that you're not in the part. You'll be in the wrong places.
Yeah, you'll continue offending your audience. And for me, like that's the one thing I realized that I no longer like ever want to do. Like somebody, it's like it feels when somebody like it's like somebody you invite and somebody you didn't invite. Like and how you treat them. Like I can't invite you and then like I invite 20 people, right? 10 people respond, 10 people don't respond. I need to focus on 10 people who responded and they responded and like how like why they responded, like what do they believe in and how to enhance that. Then focusing on wow, how can I convert and change those 10 people who said fuck me into believers? Nigga, they probably just.
But then you're also neglecting the other one. Like you're saying, you're offending them. You're like, we're showing up.
I bought a ticket, and then but you're letting in the celebrity for free. You know what I'm saying to the exhibition? Like that's crazy. Before, okay, the 6 minutes, let me actually ask the next question. I think we'll fit one in before it closes off. What do you feel as if the biggest challenges and misconceptions are towards running a zine and a digital publication, basically, in this day and age? So, yeah,
Misconceptions.
yeah, I do.
I think, well, obviously there's always the money aspect. Like that's the first piece. If you're doing anything, people like, where are you getting your money? This isn't gonna go far. Like you aren't making money. And I'm like, listen, it would be nice, but that's the last thing. And also like the kin keeping. Like I think the what you do and the amount of things you do like don't come to mind. And also the amount of things you need to know
Yeah,
just to manage everything
right.
is way more grandiose than what you would think. Also, like for example, to be an editor of an arts, you need to be well versed in everything. Like you need to know your art, you need to know your literature, you need to know your fashion, you need to know the way things operate. And also for me, I feel a responsibility to like be able to do that on my own.
Yeah.
Like I need to be able to make art and stuff. And so I think like the kin keeping, also like how much work goes into one thing.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Like at times, like working on a post and then you write, and you have to edit what you wrote, and then you have to create the graphic for the social media post. You have to do the caption for it, and you have to post it, and you have to manage the response. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, and the algorithm, and even before that, you know, like oh, the audience is gonna respond better to this lettering, and oh, the image I chose like goes back to like 1900s, the way the semantics and the representation of color is shown. Like there's a lot of thought put behind things.
A lot of responsibility, and it's like, and because the moment you slightly deviate, people pick it up, and like it's crazy because you may not even realize that like you are like deviating or like whatnot from the intent or like whatnot, but people can, which is so interesting. It's like magazines can be these truth-seeking things, like, or these truth-showing things to a certain extent.
They are. Yo, damn, I love that.
But it's real. You know, sometimes you'll be like, why is it just not hitting? Or like, or this, that, but then you just like you're not only just forcing it, but like you're not paying attention. Like you're being selfish. It's like you're not putting yourself aside and then saying, okay, cool, like what am I actually dealing with over here? And sometimes listening to people is the best thing we can do. Just like
best thing,
you know, as much as I just don't like listening to people in general, because people sometimes, a lot of times, they don't know what the hell they're talking about, and they'll convince you. I do believe in not being stubborn all the time. And
that makes so much sense.
Yeah, I think before it cuts off, I think like I don't wanna spread it too much. I think like we've spoken about like quite a bit, and I think I like what you said. And one thing I would want to ask you though, I think before it does cut, I think we will have enough time. Is like what's next, or like where are you sitting? Are you feeling optimistic about what's next? Moyé related, you related, what you want to call, but like 2025, looking into your crystal ball and stuff. Like what sits in your guys' zine?
In our future, the big question. I never answer these questions right because like I feel like they're a promise, but the whole
I have to do a podcast now. Now I have to, and
now I have to do it. Yeah. But where was I? Oh yeah, so we've been doing like a lot of experimentation with like real life things. Although I do think experimentation with digital is important, but we have a lot of film or cinema based things coming soon. I'm not sure how much I can say about that, but like screenings and
that sounds so interesting.
Films and such. Like a film as a so for example, our art show was how can a building be a zine? So what I'm looking at now is how can a film be a magazine show?
Fresh.
And then
Fresh
fresh.
as hell. Oh my God, fresh as hell. I love the sound of that.
So like, yeah, so I think a lot of experimenting and also within the stuff, like looking at what is a zine? Like, what are you calling a zine? And like just exploding that thing. Maybe I'll put out like a candle and be like, this is a zine.
I won't even lie to you, dude. Like, you shout the whole thing, bro. Like, what? Like, go crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Put it there. The candle, that's a magazine. You know what I'm saying? Let's get into it. But I think, honestly speaking, like, sounds very exciting. And honestly speaking, like, when it does come out, I'll have an eye open, you know what I'm saying? I'll keep an eye in terms of, like, what you guys, but I always kind of, like, am really. So that almost goes guaranteed. But I wanted to say thank you so much for making the time. I think what you're doing is really, really dope, dude. And I don't want you to stop. Just like how I always motivate myself to always continue, I think you should as well, because it's dope. And yeah, like, to more success and more endeavors and more experimentation in 2025 for real, for real. And yes, thank you for joining the FRM podcast. Season 2 is back, and see you for the next episode.